Fire in the forests predates civilization. For countless millennia, the forests have burned down and grown back. Fire has been a friend and foe as long as there have been human beings. In 1886, the government created the Division of Forestry to administer timber and fire protection. At that time, Army soldiers were used to put out fires. 1910 was the worst fire season in recorded history for the Pacific Northwest. A firestorm destroyed 4 million acres. 80 people died. Fire became a holy war for the young Forest Service. Following World War I, the Army Air Corps was enlisted to fly fire patrols. By 1925, aerial patrols covered nearly all of the western forests. 5 years later, improvements in technology made it possible to parachute supplies to the fire crews on the ground. Only 30 years after the Wright brothers, the airplane and parachute had transformed forest firefighting.
Usually it took you all day or part of the night to get to a fire, you know, way back in the hills there. And that was, time you got there, you done pretty well had in a couple of days' work before you got there.
We'd have a fire reported maybe in 20 or 25 miles. By the time we hiked the crew back, the fire would probably meet them halfway.
A former forest guard named David Godwin started his career walking into forest fires. In 1935, he was put in charge of the new Aerial Fire Control Experimental Project. It began with a failed experiment, using water and chemical bombs to suppress fires. Along the way, the Forest Service bought its first airplane, a 5-passenger Stinson Reliant. In 1939, the project was moved to a small dirt airstrip near Winthrop, Washington. Money from the aerial project was used in a parachute experiment. It was a remarkable decision. Not even the U.S. military had put this much faith in parachutes. At the time the decision was made, Captain Harold King, pilot of the Forest Service airplane, was the only one present with parachute experience. He had one jump. Near the end of the 6-week project, Lufkin and 4 other Forest Service employees were invited to jump. They enthusiastically accepted. One of those parachutists, Walt Anderson, gave the new aerial firefighters a name, Smokejumpers. The job of this aerial firefighter is to put out remote forest fires that require hours or perhaps days to reach on foot. If there were a fire waiting below, we could be there in minutes and put it out before it has a chance to grow. It's a great view from up here. The Smokejumper can see the fire and develop a strategy to contain it. But now we must focus on the jump spot where we're about to land. Setting up for landing requires skillful handling of the parachute, and always feet together.
We were saving over $30,000 a year, and in those years, $30,000 was quite a bit.
It was more than the cost of the entire Smokejumper program.
The records will show that the burned acreage dropped dramatically because of the initial attack time on fires. That's why I went into it. I just thought there was an easier way than running over mountains trying to get to the damn fire when you could jump to it.
In 1959, a DC-2 load of Missoula jumpers took part in the largest rescue mission ever.
There was an earthquake that centered over around West Yellowstone, Montana. When we got over there, we could see that the mountain had slid away and had blocked the river. And that above the river, there was a large lake called, I think it's called Hebgen Lake. And that there were an awful lot of people in this 2 or 3 mile stretch along the river that were camped there. And the water was obviously coming up. And then we got the word that the dam had probably cracked and was in danger of failing, which would have wiped out everybody in that canyon.
The jumpers assisted the injured and helped move the survivors away from the rising water. The exact death toll is unknown. Most were never recovered from under the massive slide.
This is a seasonal job, is what they always used to tell you, and it's always the joke. Well, one more year, then I'll get a real job, and a lot of people never do.
With the 1960s, a jumper lifestyle began to emerge. This temporary summer job was beginning to influence career choices.
My poor parents, they wanted me to get a real job. They thought, what is this? You never grew up. You want to just dig ditches in the forest. They didn't see any value in it, you know, but I was so proud to be a smoke jumper.
A fire call could take you to a scenic spot in the Bitterroots or to Alaska, struggling with a fire that might go thousands of acres. To many jumpers, this is a kind of fate, dictated by the mythical god of fire, Big Ernie.
At the end of each season, there's always a winding down period where I'm almost a little depressed because I'm back in the real world again. And it's like, huh.
Each year, some jumpers hang up their whites and go back to the real world, leaving smoke jumping behind.
I didn't realize it actually until I left how much I really enjoyed jumping.
Those who suit up for the fires today share a special bond with all of those who went before and accomplished the job of a smoke jumper.
It's almost like an extended family. It gives a person some life, a sense of being.
Yeah, boy. I'm okay.